Today we are going to show you how to install the Dorman Universal Seat Heater Kit. This is a great kit. It's actually designed to install in any car that was not originally equipped with seat heaters. This car did not have them. I don't think it was even an option, but we're going to show you how to go ahead and do it anyway. We're going to try to keep the instructions so that it will apply to just about any car. This is in particular a Crown Victoria, but it should be universal instructions for just about anybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our very first step is we're just going to disconnect the negative battery terminal. We're going to be working with electrical, so you always want to disconnect the negative terminal when working on the electrical system. Okay, our first step after disconnecting the battery terminal, we have to get the seat out of the vehicle. Every car is going to have at least 4 bolts that hold the seat in. On this one, there is one on this front corner bracket. There's supposed to be one on the other corner, but it's actually missing. We'll try and put one of those in when we're all done. And then there's 2 in the back, which we'll show you. So we're going to go ahead and start by taking out this bolt right here. Okay, we're now at the back of the seat. We have 2 nuts to take off, one on this side and one on this side. We're going to go ahead and take these off. Okay, our last step before pulling the seat out, there's going to be electrical connectors going to the seat. Controls various things. Some cars it's the airbag, some cars it's the seat belt warning. So we got to find those. Often when you tip up the car or the seat, you'll see them. You can see under the seat here, here's the electrical harness, and there are some connectors. We just have to disconnect those connectors, and then the seat will come out. All right, so we're just going to disconnect these electrical connectors. So the seat's totally unbolted and all the electrical connectors are undone. We can now take the seat out of the car. All right, we've got the seat unbolted and all the wires disconnected. All we have to do now is take the seat out of the car. Which best way to do that is bring the seat back as far forward as it can, and then just simply pick it up and, well, all right. Try bringing the tilt wheel up. There it goes. A little tight. And we're going to set this aside. Okay, we've got the seat out of the car. We're going to go ahead and open up our seat heater kit, and I'm going to show you the various parts of it. There's a bunch of little pieces in here, so make sure you don't lose anything. Okay, first of all, comes with a completely assembled wire harness, which makes it much easier when we go to wire this thing into the car. I'll show you after we install the seat heater pads. So we'll set that aside. Comes with some nice instructions with diagrams, pictures, shows you the wiring diagram of how it's all going to be. We'll set that aside for now. Now, if your seat requires it, some seats require the use of what's called hog rings. And it comes with a pair of hog ring pliers and hog rings. These are to reattach the upholstery if your seat requires it. And then we have the 2 seat heater pads, which they have adhesive strips on them, so that when we put them in, we'll be able to have one that will fit on there for the back, and the other one, when we're all done, will go on the seat bottom, like so. Keep you nice and warm once winter hits. We also have just some extra zip ties. These will be used to hold the wires in place once we get all the wiring in the car. So we'll just set all that aside for now. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Now we have to get the upholstery off the seat. Now this step is going to be a little bit different for every car. Some of them have zippers that hold the upholstery on. Some of them, this one in particular, it's got big clips. This one was actually already undone. You can see here this clip is supposed to go up underneath here and hold that tight. Actually, before we do that, we're going to go ahead and pull off any power controls on the seat. And this one's also got the seat adjust handle. We'll get that out of our way. What holds this handle on is just there's a little C-clip in here. Just try to get that out of there. Might need a little prying. There it goes. And the handle should slide right off. We'll set that aside with the clip. And as far as this power lumbar button, there's just a little plastic catch tab behind here that you just push in, and you'll see it pops up and out. We'll disconnect that connector and set that aside. Now there's nothing else in the way of the upholstery coming off. Now on this particular type of seat, like I was saying, it has these clip things. Just start at one end and peel it back, and you'll see the whole thing coming undone like so. Just repeat that for each corner. And at this point, we should be able to pull the upholstery up over the cushion. All right, we're going to keep pulling on the seat. You'll see here, this one's got a Velcro layer. It's kind of separating from the seat, but that's all right. Okay, that's pretty much all we need to do. I'm going to use a bungee cord and hold this up. If you wanted to take the upholstery all the way off, you'd have to actually unbolt the back of the seat from the top of the seat. And I don't think that's necessary. We're just going to keep going without it, unless we have to. Okay, we're going to test fit the seat heater pad. And you can see once it's in here, this will be about a perfect fit. As far as the wire, there's a couple options. You can either find a safe place to loop it. You can go through this edge of the pad here. I'm going to opt to do another method. I'm going to actually poke a little hole right here and feed the wire through it. I'm going to flip it up and pull that through. Now you can see when this is installed, that wire will not be visible underneath the cloth cover of the seat. So now all we have to do is peel off the adhesive things and stick it on there. Okay, now we're just going to line it all up. Once it's all lined up, just press it all in place. You don't want it to be real tight. You want it to be able to give once you're sitting on it. All right. So now our bottom seat heater pad is in. We're going to go ahead and put the bottom upholstery back on. Lastly, I'm going to put before I do the back pad, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the seat release handle and the clip. And the power lumbar switch. Okay. Now we're going to take the back seat cover off. This one has zippers, and I'll show you what those are used for. To get if you pull on the end of the zipper, you'll see it comes all the way out. They just tuck that up and hide it in there. So we'll go ahead and just unzip it on both sides. Now this back part here will actually just slide right off this clip here, and we can slide it back on when we're all done. So all we need to do is peel the upholstery away. Okay, we're going to put the seat pad in this orientation so that the wire is close to the base of the seat. Because if we were to put it like this, then your wire has to run further. So on the back part, I'm going to stick it on here first, and then I'm going to route the wire. So we want it about right there. So we'll go ahead and peel off the sticky things again. Now we're going to stick this in place. Again, you don't want it too tight. You want to let it give a little bit. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and route our wire. I'm going to feed it right through this hole here in the base of the seat. You want to be careful that when it's routed, it doesn't get in the way of the hinge. You can see here the hinge pivots right here at this joint, so we're going to route it on this side of that hinge. I'm gonna try and poke that through. Okay, I think we can pull that through on the other side. We're gonna flip the seat over. Okay, here is our wire for the seat bottom pad. So we've got our 2 wires that we're gonna, when we're all done, we're gonna plug them into the harness that we're about to install into the car. All right, we've got our seat back pad on. All we have to do now is put the upholstery back on, which, just like for the seat bottom, just stretch it down over in place. Once it's in place, you can press in on the seams to let the Velcro strips hold them in. Now we'll feed this piece through here and pull it from the back, and you'll see it'll just pull everything with it. And you want to be careful of your wire. See our wire there. Okay, now we'll flip it over. And go ahead and reattach this part here. Make sure everything's being pulled tight. Next, we just need to reinstall this black cover. You can see it's got these 2 tabs that actually catch onto this bar for the top half of it. And then we'll put our 2 bolts in the bottom of it. Okay, we've got the cover back on. Last step is to reattach this clip thing that we slid off of here. And we'll go ahead and zip it back up. Okay, our last step is to install the switch. On this particular car, we're going to mount it right on this little panel here. One reason is that it pops off real nice and easy. You just pull on it and it snaps off. These 2 connectors are for some option that this car does not have. They're just held in place here. They don't actually plug into anything. They just, I'll show you here. See, once you pop them off, they don't even plug into anything. There's not even any contacts in there. So these connectors, you can just feed those in, or we'll tie them out of the way so they don't rattle. But so now we're going to mount our switch. I'm going to go right through the back of one of these connectors, and we need to drill a hole. The kit tells us what size drill bit to use. I'll have to look that up again. And we'll just go right from the back, and then our switch will plop right in there. Okay, the instructions say to use a 22/32 drill bit. I have a 3/4 inch, which is slightly smaller, but it should work. We'll just have to wallow out the hole a little bit bigger. And we're going to start, I'm going to drill a pilot hole right through the center of this one spot right here. Just so we know on the other side where to drill. Now again, these instructions are going to be totally different for just about every car, so it will take a little bit of creativity on mounting your switch, but hopefully you'll be able to use these as a guideline. Now at this point, we have a 3/4 inch hole bit. You'll be real careful using this thing. All right, it's in there. Just going to clean this up a little bit here, and then we'll push that in and leave it in. Okay, now to prevent these little things from rattling, I'm just going to zip tie them together. Now I can plug that single plug into the back of its original holder thing. You can see here we've got our switch installed. It's in there nice and tight. It's going to feed through there. So we'll go ahead and do that now. You want to feed it all the way through so that you can get to it. So hopefully this will go all the way in. Okay, got our plug hanging out the bottom here. And this is upside down. Plug our empty plug back in here. Which one went in? This one? There we go. And lastly, we'll go ahead and snap our panel back on. And we have our heated seat switch. Looks like it's made to be there. Next step is to run the wiring. On this, we are going to run it underneath. Well, this car doesn't have carpet because it was an ex-police car, but we're going to run it underneath this flooring. And that's actually pretty simple on this car. This panel here just pops straight up. And then you can just pull it back and we can run our wiring right underneath there. Okay, we have our harness here. On one end of the harness has these two connectors. These are the two that go to the seat heating pads. So we want this side to come out where the seat is. So I'm going to go ahead and feed that underneath here. And I'm going to have it come up. There's a lot of dirt under there. Have it come up along with the original harness. Come out right there. Now you want to make sure it's run so that the seat track will not be squishing the wiring once it comes down. So run it right along with the original wiring harness and you'll be okay. This has to plug in, may as well do it right now. That plugs in right there. This harness again was from our switch that we installed. So it's pretty much routed. All we have to do next is just hide that up underneath the dash, which of course is what those zip ties they gave us are for. Now, we do need to supply power to the assembly. It's pretty simple. They give you a fuse tap, which is optional. You can either hardwire it into a key on power. Basically, you only want the system to get power when the key is on. You don't want to have your seat heater on when you get out of the car and forget about it and drain your battery. Earlier we found this circuit breaker right here, which is for the power windows, is only gets power when the key is on. So that's going to be a perfect option. I've never used one of these fuse taps, so we'll see how it goes. You're supposed to be able to hook it onto the end of the fuse here and plug it in. Huh? Let's see. Yeah, it needs a little bending, but it's supposed to go like so. And then when you plug it in, it's supposed to hold it all tight. So we'll see if this works. Now, of course, this is going to be different on every car, so you have to find a way to supply power when the key is on. And if this doesn't end up working, I'm just going to do it the old way of hardwiring it in. Huh. Well, it seems to have worked. Now we need to connect a ground, which basically can go to any of the metal brackets, which this one right next to the fuse panel looks perfect. So I'm going to take this bolt out and attach this ground right behind that bolt. All right, you can see you got a different view now. This again is our power wire. We have tapped into this circuit breaker for the power windows. I went ahead and zip tied it so this wire won't vibrate when driving. That'll keep that all nice and secure. We have our ground wire, which we're going to attach to this screw or bolt right here. We have our power, we have our ground, we have our wire run up to the seat, and we have our switch connected. Last thing to do is to hide all these wires, which is actually pretty easy. You just bundle them all together. And we'll use one of our zip ties to hold this bunch together. Find a good spot up underneath the dash that's out of the way of everything and just zip tie that whole bundle to it. So I'll go ahead and do that and we'll cut back in. Okay, now we're going to attach the wires to the bottom of the seat to keep them from getting in the way of the tracks when the seat goes forward and back. So we're just going to loop it up to the bracket that holds the original connectors, and we're going to hold the wires in place with some zip ties. Okay, you can see here we have the connectors right at the same spot of the factory wire plugs. Reason for that is it'll keep all the wires in the same little bunch when we go to plug it into the seat. Okay, the seat is all ready to install in the car now. So we're just going to carry it over and set it in place in the car. We're not going to bolt it in just yet because we still have to connect the wires at the bottom of the seat. You want to be careful when putting the seat in that you don't scratch anything with the seat braces. They're pretty sharp and you can scratch up the interior of your car pretty good. Okay, now we're going to reconnect all the wires back into the bottom of the seat. So we're back underneath the seat, and we're going to plug in the factory harnesses and then our new wires that we added for the seat heater pads. Okay, once we have all the plugs in, next what we have to do is line up the seat bracket with the brackets with the rear studs. So we wiggle the seat into place and go ahead and get them started on those rear studs. And we're just going to start the rear nuts by hand. Don't tighten them all the way down yet because you need to get the front bolts in first. So we'll just start these by hand, and then I'll move up front and tighten down the front bolts. Okay, we've got the seat fully bolted back in. We've double checked all our wires, all our connectors are all plugged in. The wire harnesses are all zip tied out of the way so they won't get caught on anything. We went ahead and reconnected the battery terminal. Our next step is to double check the operation of the seat heater. With the key off, we're going to go ahead and switch the heater through its modes and make sure the power light does not come on. That'll tell us that we have a good fuse and the heater will not turn on when the key is off. We don't want that because the battery will drain down on your car if you accidentally leave the heater on. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and turn the key on and flip it into low mode. You can see the power light comes on. It's a yellow light, which means that it's in low heat mode. And you can actually feel the heater starting to heat up at this point. We'll switch it up to high, and that works as well. You can see the red light comes on. So at this point we can say that everything's installed correctly, works just fine. And so that is how you install the seat heater in just about any car. Thanks for watching.